also to our today's expert speaker. Center of Excellence in Safety Engineering and Analytics, CoE-SEA, welcomes all the participants to the weekend talk on safety engineering management and analytics. So the event is uh, conducted under Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav, years of India's independence, 75 years of India's independence. So we are starting our event with the beautiful Sanskrit sloka Asatoma Satgamaya, Tamasoma Jyotirgamaya, Mrityurma Amritangamaya, which tells us to lead from ignorance to the truth, from darkness to the light, and from death to the immortality. So today we welcome our dignitaries on the virtual dais, Professor J. Maiti, Chairman of CoE-SEA, Professor Obi Krishna, convener of the Weekend Talk program, and our today's expert speaker, Dr. Tausif Zia Siddiqui. So, Dr. Tausif Zia Siddiqui is currently working as a senior corporate environment, climate change, and sustainability professional at Qatar. He did his MTech in environmental science and engineering and PhD in sustainability management from IIT ISM Dhanbad. He has over 15 years of experience in energy sustainability, business excellence, environmental management, SDGs, and leadership trainings, analytical and problem solving abilities, innovative and high creative, factory, plant administration, sustainability and compliance, environment, risk and uh, safety management, and technical skills. He has chaired the working group of CSI WBCSD on the SDG roadmap for the center sector. He was part of CII and WWF initiative on renewable energy demand enhancement REDE initiative for corporate buyers in India. He is a member of CII National Environment Committee and CII National Council for Climate Change. He is currently driving sustainability initiatives and sustainable business framework review of Qatar gas decarbonization and water reduction targets, waste management and circularity, multi-sector strategy, technical standards. So I welcome Professor Obi Krishna sir to formally welcome our today's expert speaker. So over to you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Sijana. Thank you for introducing the speaker. I need not have to tell much because the Qatar Gas is a very prestigious organization in the world. Their contributions are great to the world, and Dr. Tasif Jia is working with Qatar Gas. I'm very happy that to know that he did his MTech and doctorate from ISM Dhanbad, IIT Dhanbad now. So ISM Dhanbad is very close to us. We do a lot of joint research work. And as Dr. Jia said, he had visited IIT Kharagpur also many times. So I don't want to stay between you and the audience. We are expecting a very informative talk from you. So to you, Dr. Rashid.
Thank you, sir. Thanks for the nice introduction, and thanks a lot for giving this opportunity. And I always start my sessions, especially post-pandemic, how are we all doing? Before I jumped onto the technical part of process safety and human performance. So let me share my screen, I guess. So how's everything? Can anyone unmute and tell me how's everything from the 360-degree perspective?
Are you sharing something?
Yeah, my screen is visible.
Yeah, okay, it's visible now.
Yes.
Okay. So what I will do in next 45 to 50 minutes will focus on, I know you all know Professor, and you have amazing professors in IIT Kharagpur to tell you about the process safety, the 14 principles of process safety. I'll give you my industry perspective on that. I started my career with Hindustan Zinc, which is Vedanta Limited. Then I moved on to Japan for Maruti Suzuki, and there really it opens up my wide opening for me in terms of safety aspects, how Japanese takes into picture. Then I moved to Morgan Stanley, North America for around 1 year, and it's on ESG perspective, environmental, social, sustainability, and corporate governance. And last 10 years, I'm working in Middle East. With Alcoa, it's an aluminum company. Then with Sabic, it's a petrochemical. And Sabic also opened my eyes from the process safety perspective, how important it is, especially in a petrochemical complex. What is actually risks, how we do PSSR and all these things. And then in Qatar Gas, oil and gas plays a very important role, especially each unit operation. So I'll not jump into all these things. Before that, what are the human aspects? What kind of role human performance plays? You need to understand that. So yeah, okay. So as I ask you, how's everything? And when I measure how's everything, it's not only your technical aspects. I know we have gone through COVID times. These are very testing times for all of us. But please remember, this is a very small pie. If you are listening to me, if you are blessed. And if you are really studying in IIT Kharagpur, you are blessed. So please remember, when I say everything, I mention the 8 aspects of our life, and which is fundamentally very important to start any session. How's your mental well-being? How's your friends and family? How's your personal development? Are you upskilling yourself? How's your physical well-being? I mentioned just now I finished a session with almost around 100 plus participants on how to crack GATE. It's an engineering exam. And I was surprised. They don't have focused on their physiology. Post pandemic, we have to focus on our physical well being, our relationships, and are focusing on our community development. So, guys, please, I know studies are very important. IIT Kharagpur gives you a lot of stress. You are at the pinnacle or the best institute in India, but focus on all these components. Studies are important, yes, but focus on all these 8 aspects. Okay, so as we all know, try to invest more in doing the things, whether it's related to process safety engineering, or EHS aspects. Because 90%, anyone saying something? Ashutosh, you have some question? Hello, am I audible?
Yes, sir. You are audible, sir.
Sorry, please unmute everybody except the speaker.
It's okay. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Please, it's my request to all of you, focus on doing the life projects. As the professor earlier mentioned, he visited Tata Steel. It's that's what engagement we need from students. The majority you learn when you actually do the things. I'm more like DIY person. Do it yourself. So try to engage in life projects. With industry, we need lot of resources now. We are really short of resources, if you ask me. So 90% you learn when you actually do. 70% when we brainstorm and when we acknowledge. 50% what you hear and see. I know you will forget what I'm seeing in next 48 to 72 hours. But try to focus on what you actually do. Engage in life projects. Do some HAZOP study. Do some PSSR and all these things. So the first part, as I know some of you are students, I'm focusing on what are the skills, employability skills for the future. The second part will focus on, as a process safety engineer, what kind of skills are required. It is as per World Economic Forum and the survey done by Suslin's Research, the top 8 skills, and if you ask me, it starts with us, which is our self-belief and self-management. This is fundamentally most important. If you are a safety professional and categorically, if you are a process safety professional, you need to have effective communication. You deal in industry with multiple stakeholders, right from maintenance to shutdown teams to projects teams everywhere. So I need you to have that self belief that you will do well, because I know you guys, when pass out, we call them as knowledge workers. If you ask me in terms of process safety definition, every time you do anything, you will make a mistake one on one. The second part is rule based workers. When you have almost around 3 to 5 years experience, you do the things, you follow the procedures, SOP, SWIs, but still you make a mistake. We call it as rule based workers. The third category is skill based. When you have invested more than 80,000 hours, or I would say 10,000 hours in your domain, then you become a skill based workers. So please remember, I am treating you guys as knowledge based workers. Please feel free to ask me anything. So these are the fundamental skills that you need to become more employable, which is how you collaborate and teamwork, which is very important for me. Problem solver. We need solution providers, especially if you are in the risk business. It's a huge opportunity. I'm telling you guys, you are at the right place. If you are investing in process safety, as I'm talking to you, we need engineers in Qatar Gas, in SABIC, everywhere. Quality process safety engineers. And the last but not the least, plays an emotional intelligence plays a very important role. So please remember, you are at a sharp end, because so what I am focusing for the students and for the young professionals who have less than 0 to 5 years experience, try to develop these skills. I know these are not technical skills. I call them as employability skills. It is must for you if you want to survive in industry anywhere in the world. You need to have self belief that you are not mediocre. You are really adding value to the organizations. Effective communications, dealing with all the stakeholders. Let's go as a process safety engineer. What are the skills? Self belief, as I said, is a must. If I work with more than 100 nationalities, and I really struggle with my subordinates, someone from Indonesia, Malaysia, so many countries, they have different mindset, different skill sets. I need to balance all these things. So please remember, the most important thing is self-belief you need to have, and effective communications. The third and the most important, you must be aware about the risks. What is the risks? What is probability, severity, the risk matrix? HAZOP, how to conduct HAZOP? How to conduct process safety analysis?
I think you have joined 2 times.
Hello? Am I audible?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Please continue, sir.
Okay.
I said, lot of eco is coming.
Okay, let me check.
Sir, no, sir. I'm saying echo is coming due to Professor Krishna. You have joined 2 times. That's why we are not hearing any echo.
Okay. So I will continue, right? Because it's
Yes,
really
sir. Yes, sir.
okay.
Please, sir. Please.
The most important thing for a process safety engineer is to have focus. And I'm really getting distracted again and again due to all these things. So please remember, as process safety professionals, you need to have a clear focus, because what you are doing has a lot of impact and bearings in the company in the long run. Because we usually come in the design phase when things are getting installed. All our PSVs, pressure control valves, all these things. And fundamentally, all petrochemical plants, oil and gas plants are at a high level in terms of process safety. And we integrate all these things at the design phase. I will give you one example, and where really I admire the Japanese way of manufacturing. Hindustan Zinc sent me for a 1 month trip how Japanese achieve excellence. We visited Toyota, Sony, Nissan, Daikin, Koboto, Mirai, so many companies. The unique part we find is we try to give the robots, we are in the machine line in Japan, Yokohama or Nagoya, the Toyota manufacturing plant. I gave the robots some wrong bolts. Can you imagine? They couldn't pick it and they put the buzzer. We call it as pokayoke, mistake proofing. I want to make them to commit mistake, but it's really ingrained into the system that they can't make mistakes. That level of precision is required by process safety professionals. So please remember, you need to think beyond when we think about the process safety engineering. Risks anticipation and mitigation at the design phase plays fundamentally the most important role as process safety engineer. You must have a fundamental knowledge of operations analysis and monitoring. I know AI, machine learning, Internet of Things are coming up. You guys must be aware of technology aspect. I will tell you, we have some of the biggest offshore platforms which are unmanned. And I have a very good friend of mine. He works in Shell, and he's a IIT Kharagpur graduate. He did his mining engineering, and now he's working in the simulation part. And I would really request professors to invite him. He's last for 20 years working in Shell as one of the pioneers in automation and all these things. So I was discussing with him, and he mentioned me, Tausif, digitalization, blockchain, machine learning is really coming up, and we need quality process safety and engineers to analyze all these things. Okay, the engineering principles. As process safety professionals, we must know how to read the PNIDs, process and instrumentation diagrams. And last but not the least is the engineering principles and chemistry knowledge, if you are coming in petrochemical or oil and gas sector. So please remember, you support us in doing these HAZOPs, risk assessments, prioritizing the risk. We have ISO standards and all these things. But the fundamental part is you are the technical brain who is giving us the decision making. So we need process safety engineers to be the problem solvers, the solution providers. Any incident that happens, it's a lagging indicator. What we need you guys to develop leading indicators to try to understand the risks and what kind of risk exposure we have, what kind of mitigation actions we can take. Again, it's not rocket science. As process safety engineers, you need to be good planners. And that's why I mentioned to you effective communications. Team player, you need to work with multiple stakeholders. Operating team, project teams, EPC teams, feed teams, front-end engineering teams, all these different stakeholders. I need you guys to be a team player. And all these skills are fundamentally more important than your technical know-how. I always say, in industry, your success, 70% is these skills. Okay, so what do you think about the front line? What they think about safety? So please remember, you are the torch bearer. Safety, process safety professionals or managers plays a very fundamental role in raising the awareness. Is safety our number one priority? What do you guys think? Anyone can tell me? For an oil and gas company or for a petrochemical company or any mining company, what do you think? Extractive industries. Is it a number one priority, process safety or safety? Anyone can please. I need volunteers. We need to make it engaging. Do budgets really play an important role? Am I audible, guys?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You are audible, sir.
It
Please
should be number one priority.
unmute all of the people. Sorry, speaker want to interact with them. I suggest the audience will put their questions at the last.
Okay, sure. So please remember, the days are gone when production or profits are the fundamentally bottom line. The things have completely changed now. Now we talk about risk, which is reputation is our biggest risk. It is fundamentally most important. And when it comes to reputation, process safety and occupational safety is at the top. Then comes sustainability. We don't need any accident, any incidents at all. It's non-negotiable. And I have seen really the way we invest, whether it's SABIC, Alcoa, Qatar Gas, the amount of investments in process safety, especially in digitalization aspects upfront in the project phase. How we really list down all the potential risks, each activity, what kind of aspect, what kind of impact, what kind of risk, and mitigating measures. So please remember, it is fundamentally and again, from a money perspective, it is one of the most promising career for you guys, at least next 20 to 30 years. I can promise you that. So we talked about your role, some other roles and responsibilities. I was talking to one of my process safety engineer. He's from Indonesia. So he gave me some of the points, what they do, risk assessment, risk analysis, interpret statistical data of the plant, review safety, and the most important is campaigns. He mentioned campaigns at the shop floor level plays a very important role, raising the awareness of PSVs, passing walls, flare reduction, all these things. Provide coaching to plants and resolution of problems, because many of the times operations and maintenance teams are busy with the plant aspects. They don't know actually aware about the process safety risks. Steam traps, he gave me an example of steam traps, how they play such an important role in the process safety of the plant. So please remember hazard identification. What is CURT criteria? Corrosive, ignitable, reactive, toxic chemicals, how we take care of all these things. What is secondary containment? All these technical issues, you guys have to be much aware and then cascade that knowledge down the line. Okay, let's do an exercise. And I always want to make it more interactive. I have 8 questions. I want you to answer from a process safety hat or from a safety hat. I know many of you are in research scholars or master's student or maybe in industry. So if you know what is the expectations from your course, put it 1. Little bit clear, no clear, put it 1. If you know the expectations, put it 2. The same applies to all the 8 questions. How often do you look for problems and their solutions systematically? How often? We all have faces problems in our life. How we actually reach out to them? Do we follow a fishbone diagram, a FMEA methodology, or what? Or just based on our whims and fancies? So if you really follow a systematic methodology, put it 2. The other can put it 1 or 0. Do you set goals for ideas, initiatives, and innovation? Do you have a positive attitude by solving problems of yourself? Do you look for ideas outside your domain expertise? Like I always admired Japanese. Like what we call Toyota production system is actually come from Walmart. When they visited US, how Walmart supply chain is there, the same way they developed Toyota production system. So how often do you look for ideas outside your domain expertise? How often you engage, you discuss your problems with others, with your mentors? Do any one of you question or challenge the status quo in the plant or in your college or in your personal life? Do you try prototype ideas and pilot test ideas? So everyone is clear. We have 8 questions. The maximum score is 2 that is 16. The minimum score is 0. Because fundamentally for me as process safety engineers, I need you to be innovators. You have to constantly innovate. So any volunteer who has filled this and how much score he has got? Anyone? Oh, Pratap, you are amazing if you got 14 score. Amit, that is excellence. And that's where self-belief comes into picture. So please remember, there is a difference between creativity and innovation. We need creative people, which means any idea that comes to your mind. Innovation, when it becomes technically and economically viable for us to implement that idea. So please remember that. As industries, we need innovators. But as students, we need you to be creative. Okay, so without wasting time, if you have got a score from 13 to 16, that means you are highly innovative, you are well positioned in terms of how you structured your work, and you can be a good process safety engineer. 9 to 12, it's okay. Most process engineers sit in that domain. So don't worry at all. Because we are programmed as Indians to follow the process, to follow the SOP, SWIs, and all. It's okay. But try to be more creative, more innovative. How can I really improve? And I always say that 1% improvement in anything, if you do consistently in 90 days, how much improvement would it be? Can anyone tell me? If I do 1% improvement in my systems, in my processes, in 90%, how much improvement will it be in 90 days? Anyone? Okay, I will not touch base on the process part, but please remember, for example, we produce LNG, which is liquefied natural gas, which gets from the offshore platforms around 80 kilometers. We pass it to our inlet receiving section. We separate the condensate, we separate the water, just gas go into the trains. I'm just giving you a brief overview. In every aspect, you need to deal with temperature, pressure, and volumes. Flow, what we call. It's critical components in process safety. Any small deviation will be a disaster. And the same happens in reformers, columns, absorbers, everywhere. So please remember, as process safety engineers, we need to identify what kind of risks involved in designing these vessels. And we need to have systems in place, what we call pokayoke, that if we want to commit a mistake, it will not happen. So these are all definitions you will find in the plant. So, okay, this is what I find really frustrating. Whenever an accident happens, whether it's an occupational accident or I was involved in a fatality just a couple of years back as a lead investigator. And someone grating removed from a cooling tower. It was a huge cooling tower. Someone removed the grating and the worker fell down and he died. And when we do the assessment, we find out there was no grating awareness. We find out fundamentally very basic things were missing. And we try to find out who failed. This is fundamentally the most unfortunate part. The 3 C's. We always try to complain, compare, and criticize. We don't have to do that in process safety. Please remember that. These are like cancer cells in safety. If you are always comparing yourself, no, I cannot do this, they have different thing, no. Or complain. The management is not providing me enough budgets, they are not providing manpower. All these things, please guys, stop doing this. As process safety professionals, you have to make choices. You have to make that kind of change culture. And that's why I need you to be really inspire the teams wherever you go. Because fundamentally, process safety is the reputation risks that you have to address. So what failed? We need to focus on the systems perspective, not on the individual perspective. Please remember that. Always. The focus must be, not should, it must be on the systems perspective, where we can systems perspective, what we can improve. Whether we need a new SOP, new standard work instruction. We need more training. We need more capacity building. What we need? We need a design change. It's a design failure. What we need? Never blame individuals. Never. It's very easy to do have these three C's: complain, compare, and criticize, and then put a blame on a contractor. It's so easy. But what we need to look under the line is what failed really. And that's where comes the Swiss cheese model. If you are crossing a road, please remember, if you are crossing a road, there is a risks. We all know. Hazards are everywhere. If I am talking to you now, there may be some hazards. So please remember, we need to find underlying causes as systems perspective, what we call as systems thinking. And that's what Swiss cheese model says all about it. There is no such thing accident happens in a once, in a blue moon. No, no, no. It has to pass several layers. All these, I know you know all these things. I don't want to press on that. So fundamentally, what I do, I'm sharing my thing, and the same applies to a process safety engineer. I do a lot of performance monitoring. We have monthly KPIs in terms of energy, in terms of flaring, in terms of all these things. The same things done by process safety engineer in the plant. They have their KPI, the leading indicators. They monitor all these things, the health of the plant. They monitor the disturbance, the upsets. We call it as SSM, shutdown, startup, and malfunctions. SSM. And they play a very key important role in that things. So they have process safety procedures, they report to the senior management, they produce all these reports. And what is opportunity generation? Any project that we do, whether it's in oil and gas, petrochemicals, we do process safety assessment in the project phase, robust monitoring. And how can we ensure reliability of the plant in next 30, 40 years? Not thinking in the short term. So process safety engineers are like sustainability engineers. They run a lot of campaigns, lot of awareness building, lot of culture and capacity building. That's what we do a lot. Again, last but not the least, I want you guys to please ask me based on my experience. But for me, if you ask, fundamentally, the most important thing is your goal setting. As research scholars, as master students, why you want to become a process safety engineer? Why? What's the outcome you need? You want to work in an industry, you want to work in academics, you want to work in XYZ as a consultant. I tell you, KBR, Ude, Chioda, all these companies, the EPC, they really hire and pay a lot to process safety professionals. And they do a design work, all the design phases. Just now, I need a consultant for carbon capture, storage, and utilization to do a process mapping. So please remember, you need to have clarity in mind what you want to achieve. And post-pandemic, focus on your physiology. I need you guys to be physically super fit. Invest in meditation, yoga, all these things. And please, the blessings in life, you are a process safety professional, invest in journaling, especially in terms of gratitude. So yeah, that's it. I want you guys to please ask me from a human point of view. You are knowledge workers, you are bound to make mistakes. So please remember that. If you are making mistake, if you are failing, it's good. Because you are knowledge workers. Every time you do a task, you will make a mistake. But when it comes to industry, we need rule-based and skill-based workers. What is rule-based? 1 in 100. You follow the SOPs. Don't try to innovate in SOPs or standard work instructions. You have to follow them. When I say innovation, it means in your thought process. So any further questions from my side? Then we can make it more interactive. Let me share one more thing with you guys. I will show you the KPIs. What I started in SABIC. Everyone can see my slide, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, let me share with you guys. I started one concept breakthrough to excellence, and you will find one of the key KPIs what improving EHS's performance. See, one of the key driver, the focus areas, keep it in the pipe. We don't need any petrochemical to come out of that. Process safety, discovery, and management, fundamentally most important. Nowadays, again, it's not process safety, it's the data safety, the cyber security. But please remember, process safety is still in the top. The compliance program, you will find occupational safety, what everyone does. We have some KPIs, we have some recognition, and then comes process safety risks. So we used to recognize the best plant manufacturing teams in EHSS compliance. We call it as safer and this. Unreported and untracked bypass critical equipments. So each equipment is being tagged in the plant, each pipeline, each asset. Adopt and implement best practices related to process safety, risk discovery, and management. So we promote, any organization promote a culture of embracing the red when it comes to process safety, because we don't need any surprises. Please remember that. If you think you just want to manage the jugaad, it's not going to work in process safety field. We don't need jugaad guys. We need proper planner, visionaries who can think next 30 years how this plant will work or in a healthy way. That's what the vision of process safety engineers is. Hazard identification plays fundamentally the most important role. Most important role. Anyway, so yeah, any further question, guys?
Sir, I am unmuting all the participants.
Yeah, please.
Yes.
Hi,
You can
I'm
unmute.
Tanmoy.
Yes.
Am I audible now?
Yes, Mr.
Yes,
Tanmay.
Yeah, how you are promoting the process safety in your organizations?
Okay, so Tanmay, what we do basically, the first is, as I mentioned, the culture of embracing the red. We invite employees, there is a portal where we add them to please identify the hazards.
Right.
Any hazard, you will pay 500 riyals, around 10,000 rupees. Any hazard that you will find. Any leaks, any joints, any flanges, any PSV, process safety valves, all these things. That is fundamentally one thing, recognition and reward.
Right.
We have
Right.
PSV, process safety ideation boxes, small boxes, in which we submit ideas on sustainability, process safety, and occupational safety, the second part. So any idea if they are giving, we used to visit every week all these boxes, try to identify who is and irrespective of the idea, we just reward them. Because we want to promote that culture that now he's giving absurd ideas, maybe in the future he will give some good ideas. That's the mindset. And the third, awareness sessions. We have online CBT, like computer based training programs on process safety, spill prevention, secondary containment laws, and these are mandatory sessions to renew your gate passes. So all these things plays a fundamental, because no one will read procedures. I will tell you that.
Sir, may I also raise a question?
Yeah, please, Mr. RP.
Yeah. Sir, as you told that in the petrochemical and oil and gas, only process safety, for process safety officer or engineer, only chemistry or chemical knowledge is required. Mechanical engineer do not work there?
No, absolutely. The last head of process safety in SABIC was a mechanical engineer. And
Okay.
before that, it was an electrical person. What I'm saying, this is what you need to understand the process also.
See, sir, I have also worked as a process safety, and I have seen other companies. They're asking only either BTech in chemical or MSc chemistry. They don't prefer a mechanical engineer. Why it is so?
No, it's not a mandatory requirement, because when you gain experience, your
Okay.
degree vanishes at all. It all depends upon how you reflect in your CV. If you have done HAZOPs, if you have done SAFER, if you have done all these things, it's not a problem at all. Whether you are a mechanical engineer or electrical engineer, I can tell you that. Especially
Thank
in
you.
oil and gas, it's very flexible. We
Thank you,
just
sir.
need the right experience.
Sir, one
Thank you.
query. Myself, Nikhil. Uh,
Hello.
sir, myself, Nikhil. One
Yes,
query.
Nikhil.
Sir, after the incidents of Brimsfield and BP Macando, like process safety is becoming more legislative in Europe and US, right? What is the status in Qatar? How it
Guys,
is followed?
it's a non-negotiable thing. I tell you, like Macando, we have our Exxon Mobil is our partner.
Exactly.
When that BP accident happened, I was discussing in terms of reputation wise, in terms of financial losses, it's a different, like I cannot map the things. But yes, from a process safety perspective, we integrate process safety in the design phase. Like now we are expanding our company, like $40 billion in next 3 to 4 years.
Amazing.
And all the engineering drawings, everything they mention best in class. Like we do some BAT assessment, best available technology. So please remember, it is number one priority.
Right.
Always. Even in US companies or even Indian companies, some of them I'm engaged with, like Vedanta or Tata Steel, someone mentioned before. They focus at a different level. It's a top-down initiative. We need to understand process safety, all these are top-driven initiatives. So the leadership commitment really matters. Forget about the compliance part. It is like these companies are beyond that, beyond compliance. So yeah, I hope I'm able to answer you.
Yes, sir. Thank you,
Good
Mr.
evening, Good evening, Mr. Tauseed. This is Amit.
Yeah, Amit, yes.
My question is that please share your style. How will you handle a process owner, HOD of a process department, who is not taking care of process safety in his area? How you will handle him? Your style.
No, all process engineer, it's a part and parcel of their job.
Still, you are a process safety engineer and he is a process head, operations head. You are
Okay.
giving some inputs to him, but he is not complying to those. What manner you will handle your style? Please share your style of working.
Okay, so my style, if he's not owning, we need to understand from the risk perspective. So when we started the process safety award in the organization, no one is serious. But when we invited the president of the company in the panel rooms, in the, I would say, in the control rooms, everyone become excited. So I played that card of rewarding what I mentioned you, the best PMT award in a quarterly basis, all the leading indicators and all these things. So that's where, as I mentioned, it's a top-down initiative. So we need to really negotiate, we need to build that rapport, and we need to communicate. Because as you very rightly said, the plant manufacturing, the focus for them is tunnel vision, production, production, production. So we need to really make them aware. Because if you make them aware, they can make the better choices.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for the session. I have one question. Uh, as you mentioned KPI, so I would like to ask you one question that every organizations have a defined KPI in terms of like your Qatar gas, the production with respect to specific resource utilizations, the specific productions with respect to minimal resource utilizations, and the very less rejection. That is one of the KPI in terms of the efficiency. But when we come down toward the safety side, can you brief about that? What are the KPI, measurable KPI, what you come across and how you define for that? For example, sustainability is the goal for every organizations nowadays, and they define the efficiency, safety, environment, KPIs, and so as a in nutshell, there are the main part is that these KPIs at the bottom level are not measurable. So, for example, if I can tell you from the efficiency, the fuel consumptions or carbon reduction, these are the measurable KPI. But for the safety point of view, how will you define, or can you give some example of with the measurable KPI, or can you throw some light, or can you showcase your live mimic or on that, so you what we can know, we can come down to know how it's defined in actual uses.
Okay, Mr. Pratap, you looks very knowledgeable and you know the answer. Like, I'll give you the example as you mentioned, like resource fuel consumption, maybe in turbines, boilers. All these have got in terms of energy consumption or greenhouse gas. What you mentioned. So we have some target. The same applies to safety as well. Zero harm. I know these are not quantitative, but you will find safety some of the quantitative qualitative targets. They are not as tangible as you find in terms of energy, greenhouse gas, water, or material waste. But yes, for flaring, for greenhouse gas, for energy, we have a long-term targets and which are quantifiable. But I agree with you from a process safety or safety perspective, it's more qualitative, like zero harm or everything zero. That's the long-term vision. But if you ask me in terms of severity rate, fatality, all these things have been measured, and I know these are lagging KPIs, but we monitor all these things, leading and lagging. I will send you some of the KPIs of Qatar Gas after the session.
Yeah, but just to addition to that, we do. I had defined this KPIs 3 years back. I think the sustainability was in the verge of the mind during the startup actually, because now after COVID, everybody has gone with the sustainability. But this KPI, the breakdown free, incident free operation for the equipment level goes well. But when things happens without any knowledge, with the incident happens, so again the button restart. But what happens if this KPI is attached with the subscription charges, and have you come across that we need to return back this subscription charges, or the product also, or the digital solutions what you are come across with this kind of safety KPIs if it couldn't met?
Yeah, KPIs, see, for me, KPIs are important, but what is more important is building a culture for process safety and for sustainability. And again, I'm again reiterating the same thing. It's a top-down approach. If your management bonuses, like I'll tell you for Sabik, for example, we have 15% of the final bonus related to process safety and safety incidents. Can you imagine how much important it is? 15%, 10% on sustainability. So out of 100% of his bonus, 25% long-term bonus is linked to safety and sustainability. So again, it's all depends upon how you build a culture in the organization from the top down. It's not a bottom-up approach, as simple as that. So KPIs, all these things are good jargons to showcase, but it boils down to the culture of the organization. As you mentioned, before COVID, everyone talks about, and during COVID, they are not focusing on. So it all depends upon the quality of the organization. Like Tata's, I admire them. DuPont, someone mentioned, or Sabik, they have taken at a different level altogether. Or BASF, I can give you some of the examples. Even Qatar Gas, we never, I would say, compromise in terms of process safety wise. So yeah, that's what it's for me. It's more about the culture building aspect.
Just to addition to that, there has been a lot of discussions, and I also defined this KPI in this way. You gave the example of steam trap. I will say that safety, and particularly the process safety, what you define the KPIs starts first from the bottom to the top. So steam trap is to be handled by the operator. So if operator doesn't know the harmfulness of the steam trap or the efficient behavior of the steam trap, he is not going to convey to his manager. So if manager is not able to recognize from the operator, manager is not going to convey to your owner of your company, which is the enterprise level. So enterprise once defines the KPI from the top, this is getting completely grasped by each of the level, and the bottom level once fulfill this requirement and consumes this KPI in his nerves, that then the cycle completes. So it's a first starts from the bottom to the top, and then top revise again this KPI, so that this can be a sustainable across all of his plants, all of his organizations. So he can showcase that our plant is this much efficient, this much safest in terms of the KPI and deliverables, in terms of the long term sustainability. So this is the point I am adding in terms of the being a digital head in the sustainable solution for one of the organization.
Very true, Mr. Pratap. And I always say it has two components, as you mentioned, the operational phase and the strategic phase. So operations.
Actually, Tasif sir.
Sorry, boss. Sorry, Tawfiq boss. But still, I'm not in agreement with Mr. Pratap.
Excuse me.
Actually, just one request, because due to some certain technical issue, the meeting will be closed within 5 minutes, sir.
No problem.
Maybe
Sir,
because we
actually,
are getting
I
some.
think we have taken a lot of time in questioning and answering.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
The session was very. Hello.
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Yes, sir.
please
So,
go ahead, Mr. RP Singh. Yeah, please.
Sir, very good session was